My name is Tom Novus, and I am proud to be a supporter of the Royal Humane Society. The Society has been recognising bravery for 250 years and is celebrating by sharing some of the thousands of remarkable stories from across the centuries. My story is from 1988, when a 19-year-old man saved a 13-year-old boy from a crocodile attack. I am delighted to tell you this story, as it was my father, Rupert Novus, a current trustee of the Royal Humane Society, who was involved when he was just a few years younger than I am right now. The incident took place on the River Zambezi above Mana Pools in Zimbabwe. A canoe safari party with a qualified guide were spending the last day of their 5-day safari on the river and were 8 kilometres above their finishing camp. The party consisted of 4 canoes with 2 people in each, including the guide. They were drifting downstream with the canoes in shallow water and all members swimming alongside. Meanwhile, the guide was in the kilometre-wide river holding the canoes. Jeremy Lloyd, a 13-year-old schoolboy, was swimming furthest upstream when he was suddenly pulled underwater and then thrust out again in the jaws of a crocodile. Rupert Novus, together with Alex Shaw, who were the nearest, threw themselves towards the crocodile, but the boy was taken under again before they could reach him. Rupert and Alex were both under the water searching for the boy. Alex was then also pulled under by the crocodile, twisted and turned. He was eventually released with a bitten and broken arm. The schoolboy Jeremy was bitten again before being found underwater by Rupert, the boy still in the crocodile's mouth. Jeremy's father, Hugh Lloyd, punched the crocodile's mouth, opening its jaws and enabling Rupert to free Jeremy and pull him to the surface. With one hand around Jeremy's waist, Rupert pulled him to the nearest canoe and threw him in it. But the father was now seized by the frenzied creature, taken underwater and whirled around in a crocodile death roll, having his arm snapped off at the elbow before being released. All the party were now on the surface and all determined to get out of the water. However, too many of the team attempted to clamber on board the nearest canoe, which quickly capsized. Everyone pulled themselves onto the overturned canoe and were briefly out of the water and safe. The canoe, however, started to sink. Rupert left the capsized sinking canoe and swam 10 metres into the centre of the river to collect another. He returned as fast as he could and pulled one of the party into it. A girl also brought her canoe over to help, and the guide lifted Jeremy's father into his canoe, enabling all to get back on board. The guide took his canoe and paddled to a sandbank in the middle of the river, towing the capsized canoe behind. Rupert took charge of 2 other canoes and with a foot in each followed the guide. The father was treated on the sandbank, having tourniquets and bandages applied. Rupert and the guide then paddled the canoe 200 metres from the sandbank to the river's edge, towing Jeremy and his father in a canoe behind. A Land Rover was luckily found on the bank, and the owners drove the 2 to Mana Pools airstrip, where they were flown to Harare Hospital. More than 38 years later, my father reflects on that dramatic day, and he said, "I have always maintained that it was a team effort with Alex Shaw and Hugh Lloyd, who were also both awarded bronze medals, and the guide, Simon Silcox. Even though limbs were lost, above all, no one died." This story and many other amazing tales of bravery and courage are compiled in this newly released book to celebrate the Royal Humane Society's 250th year. I can highly recommend it. Thank you all for listening today and enjoy reading Bravery Beyond Belief.